Hi, if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. Or if you're like me and you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Chaotic Kuro. Please excuse the noise in the background. It's construction day apparently. But today I'm actually out here to talk about the top of the dress like I promised in my last video. So that's actually what we're going to be making in this video. We're going to be making the granny squares that I'm going to be using for the top of the dress. So what I'm actually going to do is just make a couple of granny squares that are going to go around my body, and it's going to be a tie front corset style, I guess you could say, and we're also going to add these straps. So the first thing that we're going to do is get started on those granny squares, and like I said, we're going to be using this yarn, the Bernat Baby Sport, and that 4mm hook that it recommends. So let's get started.
Okay, so to make those granny squares, as you can see here, I like to start off with that magic circle. So I'm just doing my initial loop for the circle, and then I'll do my stacked single crochet, which I love to do. It acts as a double crochet turning chain. So then of course we do 2 more double crochet, and then here I chain 2 and then do another cluster of 3 double crochet, which is going to be followed by another chain 2. So this is the traditional way of starting off that granny square. So we're just going to keep going from there on that first row. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to see how I finished this loop off. Since I actually don't slip the stitch, I turned my work as you see, and now I'm just going to go into the top of my stacked single crochet chain and then pull that previous stitch right through, and right in that same stitch go back in and do another stacked single crochet, and this counts as the first double crochet on this round. So now we work into the corner, we do 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochet, and that's how we work into each corner. And for this one, we're actually making the solid granny square, so we're going to double crochet into each stitch across, and then again do the corner as the 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now, like I said, since we're doing the solid granny square, from here I just basically continue doing the same thing, making sure that I double crochet to 2, chain 2, double crochet 2 for each corner, and just double crocheting into each stitch across. You don't want to miss any of the stitches, or else your square could end up a little bit lopsided. So you want to be very careful and make sure that you get every stitch and that you're doing the 4 double crochets in each corner. At this point, I've made 6 rows of the solid granny square, and now I'm actually ready to transition into that traditional granny square. So what I do from here is actually count off 2, and in every 3rd stitch, that's where I'm going to put the cluster of 3. So I'm just counting the stitches to find where I needed to start, and from here I just slip the stitch right over, and then I'm going to start with my stack single crochet turning chain, which counts as the first double crochet, and then I'll do 2 more double crochet into that same stitch, skip 2 double crochet from the previous row, and do another cluster of 3 double crochet into that third stitch. So you'll see me count it out from here. And so I'll continue like this all the way around, but in every corner I'll actually be doing 2 clusters of 3. So it'll be 3 double crochet on one side, then I'm going to chain 1 and then do another cluster of 3 double crochet on the other side, and then it would be again skip 2, and in that third stitch from the previous row we would be doing the cluster of 3, and I'll continue this all the way around this row. And for the next 2 rows, we would just be following the traditional granny square pattern, which would of course be doing the clusters of 3 double crochet into each space from the previous row, and it's the same with 6 double crochets or 3 clusters, 1 chain, and 3 clusters in the corners. Okay, so in the end, the granny squares were about 9 rows. I made 8 squares, and each of them were about 7¼ inches around, or squared, since they're squared. I'm not actually sure. But now I'm actually going to slip stitch seam all the squares together. I'm going to make the strap, and I'm going to make the string to attach everybody. Let's start with the slip stitching first. So this is what I'm doing now. As you can see, well, as you're going to be able to see a little bit better in a second, I'm taking the side or the little legs of each stitch. Here we go. The little legs on each stitch from the outside. So on one side, you can see from there, it's that part on the outside, I just pick it up, and then on the other side the same, and then I slip stitch through there, and that's how I do the seam all the way across. So that's how I'm going to do it for all of the seams for this top. Okay, so as you can see, I managed to seam all these squares together with the slip stitch seam, and I have that string ready to go. I'm getting ready to start working on these straps, but I decided I was going to also add a button so that I can do the straps in a granny stripe. So what I did here was actually measure out the length that I needed the strap to be using the string that I'd made, and now I'm chaining the chain to match that same length so that I can make the strap. And then I'll start with the granny stripe pattern, which is going to be that same pattern we basically used for the square, but I'll show you guys that now. So to make the granny stripe pattern, what I did was just do my stacked single crochet, and then in that same stitch where I started the stacked single crochet, I added 2 more double crochet. I skipped 2 of the chains, and then in that third chain I did my cluster of 3. I skipped 2 chains, did another cluster of 3 double crochet, and I just continued that way all the way along, skipping 2 chains and doing a cluster of 3 double crochet in the third chain after skipping 2. But once I finished my chain, I actually go back and I slip stitch along the top of the granny square stripe. Of the granny stripe, and along the bottom as well, just to reinforce the chain and so that my strap is a little bit stronger.
Okay, so I'm back. I was able to sew in all the edges, all the little strings that were coming off of the granny squares. I made sure to slip stitch all the granny squares together like I said I would. I also made a strap using the granny stripe, and I made sure to make the little string that I would need to tie everything together as a corset. So here's the top. Now, as you can see, I had 4 granny squares, and then in the front, and then 4 in the back, so that is the 8 granny squares that I made for this pattern. I also added some buttons so that the straps are adjustable, but this is what it's looking like. And it actually is a perfect fit. I thought it might be a little small, but it's not. It fits great. And so now that I have the top done, I can actually get started on the skirt portion. So from here, I'm actually just gonna slip stitch onto here and then begin the skirt, but that's gonna be for another video. So thanks so much for joining me in today's video and making this granny square top. I'm sorry about all the background noise, but thanks for joining me in today's video. Thanks for being here through it all, for learning with me, and for going through the trials and errors of making granny squares. Gladly, I love the pattern. I love working on granny squares, and the yarn was soft enough that it wasn't a bother. But I'm ready to make this skirt. I'm so ready to have a crochet dress. It's not even funny. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is just part 1, so don't forget to join me over on part 2 that's coming next week. And of course, don't forget to join me on my Instagram at chaoticcurl_crafts, where I'll have a few more pictures of this top, as well as some progress pics in my story of how the skirt is coming along. So if you guys want to follow along and see how that goes, you can do that over there on my Instagram. I'll see you guys over there, and I hope you guys have a great week. Bye.